Hello everyone and welcome back to another art time lapse. Today's piece is called The Secret Hideaway. Now this piece, I started off not really knowing what I wanted to do, so I must say I was quite frustrated with it for the longest time. I knew I wanted to do something that was nature themed, but also I knew I wanted to stem away from the Studio Ghibli ideas that I've been working on over the last month. So I started painting a background with greens, which I diluted my gouache with lots of water just to make sure that it creates just like a color, I guess, layer on the bottom. But I wasn't too fussed about whether it was a uniform color, because I knew that I was gonna draw vegetations on top, so it's probably nice that there's not a uniform flat color all across. So I dabbled some water here and there, and then there were darker areas and lighter areas and some. And I figure it's okay if there's actually stripes as well, or like areas where there's brushstroke, because it's gonna be all covered up, and it might be cool to have some dimension to it. So after that bottom layer dry, you can see I am using some lighter colors to add in some foliage in the front. The idea is to create a secret hideaway that's inside this kind of mess of forest. I realized halfway doing this that I needed more depth and dimension in the piece, so I added in some darker blues and darker greens and mixed it up and just added in randomly some blotches onto the piece. I'm working on an art block right now, which makes it easier that I don't have to tape down my piece and can move it around as I need to. Here I'm just giving you a closer look of how I do the details of the different leaves and plants in this piece. I think there were probably at least 5+ different types of designs of leaves and how they look, and flowers as well. And I use a variant color of lime green, light green, sky blue to layer on the different types of plants. That's probably one of the reasons why it took even longer than usual, because I wanted to do not just like one type of plant, but many different types of plant, also in many different types of color. And then after before I can put on each new layer on, I had to wait for the previous layer to dry, which takes a while when there is so much detail to the piece. Overall, I do hope that it will come out nicely, given that I put in so much time on it, but we'll see how things go. For each of my pieces, I don't always necessarily think with the mindset of going in that I hope this will become a masterpiece. I go with the mindset of let's try something and see where it takes us. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I think that is part of learning and part of like practicing being comfortable yourself as an artist and not putting so much pressure on myself in terms of the output of what I get. So you can see I'm adding on some ferns in the front. I think at this point for this piece, I probably was working on it probably maybe 2 weeks, I would say. I think from the start finish, it probably took me closer to a month, because I was so frustrated with where am I going with this? What is the focus? Because after all, when you're working on a piece, you want there to be a primary focus and where the audience is looking towards. And right now it's just a lot of plants, a lot of colors, just splotch onto a piece of paper. So I was a little bit disappointed, but I was determined to rescue it at some point. So here you can see I have left a secret hideaway spot in the kind of like a middle side corner with just kind of lots of background plant stems in the background. Okay, now I'm gonna add a character into it, and I've added in a little bit of darker colors, as I mentioned, in that particular area to kind of bring out that spot in the middle so that audience know where to look when they're looking at a piece. And I've decided I'm gonna do a bear. I have an affinity for bears. I love bears so much, and I don't know why. I just find that they're just really endearing animals, and there's a lot to relate to for bears in the way they take care of their young. And like I been reading a lot about spirit bears, which is unique to British Columbia and Canada, and how they are a more of an endangered or very rare bear nowadays. And if you do see it in nature, it's also a sign of good luck as well. So here I have the spirit bear that I'm painting that I think will be a baby spirit bear that's just hanging out in the leaves and their secret hideaway, because there isn't much space left for them nowadays. Lately, I've been reading a lot on news about wildlife going into neighborhood areas, or I guess I should better put it as human kind of living in their space and them trying to thrive with this new input of humans moving in, which I think has been difficult for the wildlife community. For the spirit bear, I decided to put a little butterfly on his nose just to show the gentleness of these creatures and how playful they can be as well. Now I need to layer on a lot of white for this bear because I added so much dark colors in the background. It just takes so many layers just to bring that piece out. I think in the future what I'll do is try to leave that place where I want the bear to be approximately empty and just paint around it. That will probably help a lot with the piece. So for the little butterfly, I'm still debating what color I should add to it, but I want to make sure it's not too big so it can be a contrast to the bear and reveal what a big gentle giant this bear will be. Now, if you like the content on this channel, as I mentioned before, please consider like, subscribe, and sharing. It really does help with the channel. Thank you so much for considering. So as I'm painting this piece, I realized I don't want the bear to be totally one-dimensional and just a flat white silhouette. I do want it to be more 3D with some shadows, but at this point I'm thinking when light shines through between the leaves and the foliage, the shadow that's cast on it is not going to be like a solid gray or a black. It's going to be some kind of fluorescent green that reflects off the leaves. So that's why I decided to add a little bit of shadow using turquoise as a medium color. With a closer look at the piece, you can see that I am still trying to add on more white right now to make the bear stand out, and it's just taken me so many layers, and if each layer you have to wait for it to dry, which takes around 5-10 minutes. So overall it's just taking me a lot longer than I expected. At this point, decided to add a little bit of light lilac for the shadow for the bear, and we'll just see how things go from here. Probably not going to show in this video is after the gouache dries, I actually add in oil pencils to kind of sketch in some depth and layer to this piece. I'm just about wrapped up for this piece, and you can see the gentle spirit bear hanging out with some butterflies in a secret hideaway here. I hope you enjoy this art time lapse because it's certainly been an adventure in me trying to figure out what I'm doing. But overall, I think it turned out okay, and it was a good learning experience for me to draw all these different types of plants and adding on different dimensions and layers to it. Well, I think that's it for this art time lapse. I look forward to seeing you in future videos, and in the meantime, take care and stay safe, my friend. Bye for now.